Cody got to say in the documentary what was not true, I would like to say that. Heifer! I'm going to say, heifer. Is that okay? And she was like, heifer?
Eden Stiles, what do you think of that name?
I don't think of that name. You never knew what was going to come out of his mouth, which then made crazy things come out of my mouth.
You were in that direct line of fire when it comes to criticism.
It was hurtful. I feel like this is the first time I'm talking about that. I would come out of retirement for that in a heartbeat. And I would do it at 72 years old.
Welcome everyone to Ring the Belle. This is DS, and who told me that it is open mic night here at Ring the Belle? It is the iconic Brandi Rhodes!
Hey!
I'm so happy that you're here.
Thank you.
You're an icon.
Oh my goodness, thank you. I always wanted to be an icon.
Here's the thing. Okay, so the last time I ran into you, it was this past WrestleMania weekend.
Okay.
And I was like, Brandi, I love you. I love your catchphrases. And you look back and you're like, what catchphrases? I don't think you fully understand how iconic that segment was.
Who the hell told you tonight was open mic night?
Maybe I don't. It's a very fun segment for the simple fact that there was not much thought that went into it.
Oh.
It was literally just, Tony asked me, can you cut a promo on Jade? I said, sure. Why not? That's fun. And he said, have you seen the Curb Your Enthusiasm where Vivica Fox runs up the neighbor lady, and what's her name? But it's the neighbor character in Curb Your Enthusiasm that's always coming after Larry, and she's always cursing him out and all this stuff. And she's like, Larry, you blah, 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 blah. And then Vivica steps in front and goes, who the hell are you? You're not going to talk to my man like that, and just runs her down and saying all this stuff. So, he says, you know that scene? I said, yeah, of course. He goes, can you do something like that? I was like, I got it.
Oh,
and
so
that was pretty much it.
Okay.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. It was just like, all right. And then I was like, oh, what am I going to say? Okay. So, yeah, talked to Jade, and I said, I'm going to say, heifer. Is that okay? And she was like, heifer? I was like, yeah, it works. You're not a heifer. So it works. Like, you're the furthest thing from a heifer. So, like, just let me say it. Okay. Heifer? And then it was what it was. So
I mean, see where Jade Cargill is now. You started that career so hot for her.
I mean, she had a lot of really, really great opening moments, I think, into wrestling in general, which is good. And, she rose to the occasion for that match and, was able to show people, like, I'm here.
Right.
I have a really great presence. It's cool to be a part of that, for sure.
But I want to go back in time just a little bit, because I love when you talk about your beginning in wrestling. You said you have like a diva beginning, being hired as a model. But you had a full ride in college. You were in local TV.
Welcome to News Vision. I'm Brandi Reed.
You had a master's in journalism too, right?
Yeah, I went to University of Miami's broadcasting program.
Right. So with that really solid resume, how's it like to venture into the new world of pro wrestling?
It's so funny because when you bring all these things up, it's just kind of a really great segue into where I am today. It's not easy. I will never say it's easy to put up the wrestling because, hey, it's a 10-year journey that I've been on. It's a lot of, past and history and stuff. But I'm an ever-evolving person. I've had more job titles than I can come up with. And it's just because I like to learn a lot of different things. So having the background in communications and broadcasting and, having, the little venture that I've done into the world of cooking, and then now getting my certifications to teach yoga and Pilates and stuff. It's just who I am. I'm a creature of learning. I like to learn and absorb and pass it on. And then I like to move into something else. So that's kind of where I'm at today. And it's all based on the stuff that I've done in the past.
In FCW, was it always a plan to be an announcer, or what?
Nope.
Okay.
No, I was hired as a wrestler. I became an announcer because no one knows anything about anybody in wrestling when you first get hired. Like, I don't know what they hired me based off of. I guess what I looked like, which, hey, whatever. That is part of modeling, No one knew that I was a broadcaster. So we went to an event in some town in Florida. It's very small event, like 20, 30 people were at this event. Everybody's freaking out because the ring announcer was sick. And I didn't even know what a ring announcer was at this point in time. It was maybe my second week at FCW. Who's going to ring announce? And then finally I, poked somebody and was like, hey, what's ring announcing? And they were like, oh, it's really annoying. You have to get into the ring and it's really nerve-wracking and you have to remember all these things and whatever. And I was like, I'd like to try it. And they were like, you would? I was like, yeah, sure. Can I have a note card? Because I don't know these people. I don't know anything. They're like, yeah, sure. So I went and I did it. And everybody kind of said like, hey, that's your first time doing that? That was pretty good. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll keep doing this. And then I got called up on the road 2 weeks after that. So I was in FCW for, I think, a month.
Okay.
And then I got called up on the road and I was fully announcing for a month. So people like to say things like, Brandi wrestled at FCW and they never hired her to be a wrestler. No, it's because I got the other job faster than anybody has ever gotten a job in history. Like, literally, I stepped up. I said I could do this. When I got called to TV, it was a Raw. I had no idea what I was going to be doing because I've been working there so short. And I was like, please, God, don't be wrestling, because I barely knew how to take a bump. Barely. Like, I think I was still sitting on somebody's back to take a back bump because I didn't know how to fully, commit to it yet. When I got called up, I remember asking Norman Smiley, I'm like, what am I doing? And he was like, well, I don't know. So bring everything. You have some gear, you have some this, you have some that, whatever. You get there, you'll talk to Johnny. He'll let you know what's going on. So when he said I was ring announcing, I was shocked because I was like, why? And he's like, well, they said you've been doing a really good job down there and we wanted to see you up here. Well, going from 20, 30 people to thousands was really rough. So that's why I have such a connection with Justin Roberts, because he really helped me that night and just kind of quelled my nerves and made it so that I felt comfortable and got it done. And then it never stopped after that.
Wow. That's such a journey, yeah. Several people have sent me this as their favorite Eden Stiles moment. By the way, Eden Stiles, what do you think of that name?
I don't think of that name.
It's dead.
It is what it is.
Well, this moment, a lot of people sent this as their favorite moment.
Oh my gosh, somebody talked to me about this today.
Is it?
Yeah, all those girls I had such great experiences with when working with them, and I always loved when somebody wanted to do something just a little bit different, a little bit more fun. Tamina was great. Always had good experiences with Sasha and Naomi, and they were cooking at that point in time too.
Yes.
They had a fun thing going. Somebody came up to me today and said, "You know what match I really wanted to see before you stopped wrestling?" I said, "What was that?" And he said, "You and Tamina." I was like, "What? Why?" And then they were like, "That moment." And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, yeah. No, that makes sense now, okay.
And also, there's this other mystery video that it's a vignette that leaked that never aired.
Oh, yes.
Of you and Cody before you left WWE.
I'm Eden. My baby.
What's the context of this video?
So, how apropos that this video is designed by Paul Heyman.
Oh.
So Paul Heyman was the brainchild behind this.
Okay.
And Paul Heyman was also very, very influential on trying to get me seen as something other than a ring announcer, because I was in the role for 4 or 5 years, so like it's very hard to turn your attention, especially when you have new talent coming in and all this other stuff you're looking at. Why does the ring announcer now want to do something else? So this was part of kind of the ploy to get them to say, hey, this is she's got character work, she's got promo, she can do these other things. And he was super influential and helpful in that. And then now he's just a jerk, the Wiseman jerk.
The next chapter, though, which I'm really interested in talking to you about, is that a lot of fans, because they know you from WWE and, on AEW, a lot of fans, I think, see you as similar vein as, like, Stephanie McMahon and Maria Kanellis, as, like, you would go and, like, throw it down in the ring, but not necessarily full-time wrestler. But you had a long stint in the indie, which included STARDOM.
Yeah.
You wrestled in Japan. STARDOM wrestled Io Shirai, Io Sky.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your indie experience and then going to Japan for STARDOM.
My Indian experience was great. I got to work with a lot of different people. I had fun with every single show that we did. STARDOM was an excellent, excellent thing. I was so excited to be able to go over and do that. I loved working with Io. The ultimate challenge. Most people don't speak much English over there. So it was like trying to plan these matches when you don't speak English. Unfortunately, I got injured there. And that was 100% what happened. And some people think that it was in the Io Sky, Shirai Sky match.
Yeah.
It was not. I was not injured by Io. Not at all. We had a great match, and I really enjoyed working with her. It was fantastic. And the match that I had before that, everything was fantastic. Where I got injured was in match planning before the next match that we were going to have. And it was a complete accident. It was a miscue in translation on direction. So I was saying, this person has to go to the right. They told them left. They went left, I went right. My collarbone snapped.
Oh, no.
So complete accident. No one did anything harmful or on purpose. The girl felt terrible. And, you know, it was what it was.
But your aspiration was to be the legitimate wrestler.
You know, I really wanted to learn as much as I could.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm a student of whatever I plug into.
Okay.
And so when I plugged into wrestling, I fully plugged in. That gentleman standing over there, Luke, has spent hours and hours and hours in the ring with me working on things. He's a coach at the Nightmare Factory. So, you know, whenever I can dive fully in, I dive fully in. So the experience of Stardom, I knew would be hard, and I didn't know I was going to break my collarbone, but but I knew there was going to be a lot to it, and it would push me to learn more, and I really wanted to do that. So I was sad that it got cut a little bit short, but I did learn a ton there, and I really felt proud of what I was able to do there.
I mean, you made lemons out of lemonade out of lemon. The Bionic Spear.
Yeah, that was fun.
Picture.
Yeah, that was a fun time.
It's from the clavicle.
Yep, because I had a piece of metal in it.
Yeah.
It's not there anymore. We took it out.
So no Bionic anymore.
I'm not Bionic anymore.
So let's talk about your start with AEW a little bit. You joined in as a chief branding officer, and started talking a lot about, you know, the women's division in AEW.
We want it to be a strong women's division with the best female wrestlers in the entire world.
Were you part of developing that roster when it started?
So I was very influential on a lot of the talent that came in at the beginning, for sure. There were a lot of people who had a lot of thoughts about a lot of different things. There were a lot of women that I wanted to see there that didn't get there. There are some women who made it later that, you know, once I left, you know, we're seeing them pop up and stuff. So that's cool. You know, but I really did just want to be somebody who was there for the women to kind of run things by. Having worked in the industry for a while, sometimes it's tough to talk to men about what our issues are, what we're trying to do. So I kind of wanted to be there to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
And I think in the beginning, things worked out really well with that. And, you know, I don't know that they stayed.
Because here's the thing. You know, I think bigger weakness in AEW is their women's division booking. The locker room's full of fantastic women. And because you were that female authority figure in AEW, you were in that direct line of fire when it comes to criticism from the fans.
It's actually what was the most hurtful about it to me was not that people looked to me and said, hey, you do something about this, or maybe this is your fault, but that no one stood up and said it's not. That's something that was really easy to do. It doesn't look good coming from me in the moment to say, hey, this isn't me, you know, so I'm not going to do that. But there were plenty of people that I felt like could have stepped in and said, hey, you guys, this is a joint effort. This is not all on this one person. But that never was done and never was said. And to this day, I feel like this is the first time I'm talking about that. So, like, that was hurtful, especially knowing the time and the effort that was spent with different people, and not even just me. There were other people who were trying really hard behind the scenes and working at different things that I don't feel like people know. And, you know, it's kind of a bummer. It would be nice for people to know, you know, who was working hard. And I'll say another person who was working hard. Awesome Kong was working very hard, and did not get that recognition.
And I think also fans appreciate what you did there. I mean, the heels, what a great initiative that you did that was so inclusive of female fans. But also, speaking of Kong, I know that you said you don't want to talk about it anymore, but it's a women's wrestling talk, Nightmare Collective.
I got time today for the Nightmare Collective. Okay, here's what I have to say about the Nightmare Collective that's never been said. Because, you know, it's never always appropriate, I feel like, to talk. Like, Twitter's not the place to tell everybody, in my opinion, where creatively things were happening or whatnot. But I can say that here in an interview. The Nightmare Collective was never supposed to be the Nightmare Collective. It was supposed to be me and Awesome Kong. Awesome Kong, the wrestler, me, the manager. Awesome Kong had this wonderful idea. She had this artwork sketch, and you know, of everything of what she wanted her character to be and look like. And it was just badass kind of warrior woman who collected these trophies at the end of the matches of you know, cutting the hair. Trying to bring that to life. Probably the hardest thing was the injuries, because she was suffering some injuries during that moment. And people, I think, panicked and hit the button of add more, add more, add more, add more. So the Nightmare Collective was not a me, Awesome Kong collaboration. It was a full creative collaboration. Everybody and their mother had something to add, including the moment that I think really, really ticked people off of when we were interfering with one of the championship matches. We didn't want to do that. Yeah, and there was input that was like, this is needed. Let's do this. This is the way to go. And I knew. I was like, this is not the way. This is not the way. And part of the reason why I was really like okay, it's time for this to stop. Because there's just too many people that have good intentions. Too many cooks are in the pot, though. We're adding spice. We're adding sugar. We're adding salt. The next day, we're throwing ice in it. We're killing ourselves here. So it just too many cooks in the pot. But it was never just one or two people. It was everybody. Everybody had an idea every single week, and we were trying every single one. And it just didn't work out.
For the women's wrestling fans, I mean, there were some confusions, but I think the fact that Awesome Kong was there to mix up with this new division was just so exciting. Yeah.
I wish it had worked out better. Again, she just had some nagging injuries that weren't allowing her to get in there and wrestle, because from the beginning we were kind of pivoting, and that's why some of the segments were so short, because we were just wanting to make sure she was physically okay. It just didn't come to light the way that she and I saw it from the beginning, and that's okay. Sometimes things happen. You got to shift. Unfortunately, sometimes people try to help too much.
Right. So another iconic segment.
Oh boy.
Black belt.
So you're a black belt? Well, I'm a black. Let's go.
Oh yeah. Again, there was a pandemic era. Things were happening. I'll tell you what.
Yes.
I have never had as much fun as I did kind of sparring with Dan Lambert, because you never knew what was going to come out of his mouth, which then made crazy things come out of my mouth. And then it was just craziness. And just, I love seeing that segment where we start trying to fight each other, because that's insane. Like, what on earth? And who even put this together? I don't even know whose idea. I don't know. I'm not going to say. I just know that one day I was told, you're going to do this promo with Dan Lambert. And I was like, why? And like, another thing that's going to break people's heart here. Scorpio Sky is not my cousin. He's not.
I read that on Wikipedia. I'm like,
he's not. I just never said he wasn't for like 5 years now. But he's not my cousin. But
Breaking
I do
news.
Really like Sky. He's great. He's a great guy. But yeah, like things, it just goes to tell you, you have no idea what's going on, guys. Sometimes it's absolute madness and mayhem. Sometimes somebody says they're your cousin and you just run with it for 5 years. And
So was the plan to wrestle Paige Van Zandt?
Yes.
So
that ended up happening. And I don't know. I don't think that. Maybe that was the plan all along. I can't remember. But I remember being like, what are we doing? And then the first one, when I got to, call him the Paul Heyman wannabe, that was so fun. And that pandemic crowd had so much fun with it. Like, they were having a blast. And then, pockets of the internet started, flaring up about X, Y, and Z. And then, it started to become a little bit less fun. And I think that's where you end up with Dan, kind of stepping away. Cody and I had our reasons that we left. That was not one. Hey, I'm going to say, someone asked me this earlier about what can you say about when you left? I said, well, Cody got to say in the documentary what was not true. I didn't get to say that. So I was like, I would like to say that.
Okay.
Because since I can't say some other things, I would like to say what's not true. So it's not true that we left because the Dan Lambert segments upset me. That's not true. That's not everything that Dan said, I was there for. Okay. I enjoyed it. And some of it almost made me laugh a couple times, because I was just like, geez, this man. The other thing that's not true is it's not true that I was not going to get another contract. We were both well on our way to trying to decide what our contracts were. So it was not true that they decided not to renew my contract and only wanted to renew Cody's. And that's why Cody left. Not true. So those are two things you can cross off the list, and the conspiracy theories can continue, but those can go away.
Debunked. I did want to talk about it, though, from your perspective, because as a chief branding officer, you had a lot of projects that I felt, as a viewer, you were very passionate about. So how was it like for you to step away from that chief branding officer, from your perspective? I
would say that that's the hardest thing. So I've always said, I did not plan to continue to wrestle beyond 40, and I'm now 40. So, in wrapping up the wrestling a year early, not so hard, because I already had that in mind. Okay. But chief brand officer thing was something that I thought I could do for a really long time. So that was the part that was kind of like, man, this stings, because that work was so great to be able to do. I remember bringing the Culture City stuff to AEW, and when we do the first event and seeing the children sitting with their headphones and their kits and everything, and being able to enjoy those shows, that was a monumental moment for me. And after that show, I got a phone call just driving home one day from Culture City, and they asked me if I would like to be a member of their board because they were so happy with the work that I had done. And I have no connection to autism. You know, most people who are board members, they have a family connection or, you know, something close to them. For them to want to work with me after that just made me feel so good. I got off the phone and I cried. Like I just cried in my car on the way home because I was so happy to be able to help in that way.
Yeah.
So leaving something like that behind really, really stunk because it just filled me up to be able to go to shows and meet these families and meet these people and bring people backstage and watch them meet their heroes and just make these impossible things happen for people.
Right.
That's what I loved to do. And again, that's one of the reasons why moving into this direction of having the yoga Pilates studio, being able to make things happen for people that they wouldn't be able to do on their own. That's what I want to do. That's what I like to do.
I want to talk about your motherhood a little bit. 2021, you had this interview, got you in hot water a little bit. You said,
great.
After you have a baby, you said you wanted to come back full time right away.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
not going to stay home.
Well, it's a different situation because in the situation where we were working for AEW, I absolutely could have been full time again.
Okay.
You know, the travel schedule is completely different than WWE, where you work, you know, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. At AEW, you worked Wednesday, and then you worked from home the rest of the week. So that's absolutely achievable for a mom to work full time. And guess what? It's absolutely achievable for another mom to work full time. Her name's Becky Lynch, and she does it on the road. You know, and Lacey Evans, and you know the Viking lady.
Right.
They all do it. You know. They all do it, you know. So it is absolutely possible to be a full-time, you know, mom and a full-time worker. Why people got so upset about that, I really don't know. It's their problem, not mine. And a lot of people came in, I think, when that happened and were like, "Excuse me, stop. No, we're not going to tell this lady she can't have a full-time job." Plenty of moms do.
Yeah.
So
you were seen at the Performance Center.
Yes.
What? Tell me the story behind that.
Okay, so the story behind this was very simple. We were going to let Cody do his thing, have his WrestleMania moment, and then we were going to talk about me. So that's what happened. WrestleMania happened, everything was great, and then we talked about me. And they said, well, hey, Brandi, do you want to come to the Performance Center for a couple of weeks, train, work with people, maybe have a couple of practice matches, because they do like the practice shows there and stuff. I said, that'd be awesome. I would love to. Came down, did it, great experience, wonderful. Did not pursue it after that because it was very tough. We had Libby with us the whole time. Cody was actually a exemplary dad and doing the dad role because he was injured, and you know he was watching her, and we had a nanny with us, and you know everything worked great, but it was very tough, and it was tough to me to come home beat up from wrestling all day, and then my daughter, we have a bond, so she just wants to be with me and she wants to be on me, and and I was just unable to figure out how to make that all work in my head. So I just didn't pursue it further after that. It's not a melancholy thing or anything like that. I love WWE, and I think they're a great company, and under different circumstances I did work for them. I probably would have worked for them if it was a different circumstance. Even if Liberty was older, got it. I probably would have had an easier time doing it, but it just seemed glaring to me that was not the calling.
The mommy Rhea Ripley is messing with your man a little bit too much. And everyone's like, okay, Beth Phoenix came to Edge's aid. Where's Brandi?
Where is Brandi? That is the question these days. Yeah, no, I mean, I really enjoyed watching that whole thing go down and playing along with it a little bit on social and stuff. But let's be real. I'm not going to wrestle Rhea Ripley. I'm not even training right now. Like, what? Y'all want me to get killed? Seriously? Don't answer that either. But, if I was training or something, maybe. But no. Mommy will do mommy things and let her. She's that mommy with the M-A-M-I. I'm M-O-M-M-Y.
So, a lot of people brought up that one of their favorite match of you is that Impact Wrestling match, you and Cody versus Maria and Mike Bennett.
Let me be honest with you. That's a terrible match. And it's not on anybody other than me. I was brand new. Maria was great. I really liked Maria Kanellis. She was wonderful with me. I wasn't ready.
Oh.
So, I kind of chose to do it all on TV. Some people, wait a little bit longer, whatever, but I wasn't ready yet.
I mean, so if you have another match, I mean, I know that you're not gonna do full time, but who would be the dream wrestling couple to face in a match?
Stephanie and Triple H.
There you go.
100%.
There you go.
I would come out of retirement for that in a heartbeat. And, and I would do it at 72 years old. Y'all would have to sit through that and just let it happen. I know it wouldn't be great, but just let it happen if it does. Because, I mean, the chances of it happening are very, very slim. If that was on the table, you'd have grandma in the gym. I'd be doing everything I possibly could. Like, I'd be getting into full lotus in my yoga studio just to stretch Stephanie a little bit.
Wait, so tell me about your yoga studio.
So it's in Atlanta area, about 3,000 square feet, dedicated yoga room. We'll do everything from hot yoga to yin meditative Pilates reformers. So you're going to have to sign up for those because there's only 8. There's always only 8. So like it's most places just have a small amount. And I'll tell you why that is. They're expensive as all get out. So you'll have to sign up for those, but they're going to be great classes. From beginner to if this is something you've done forever, you're going to feel comfortable. I came into it as a beginner, and I liked how I was treated by other people into coaxing into it, not being made to feel like you should know how to do this or you should be more flexible or anything like that. It's going to be the most welcoming place and space. And we're going to have an app. So if you're not in Atlanta, you're going to be able to join us from home. So yeah, it's going to be great. I'm so excited.
Thank you so much for sitting down with me, talking. I learned so much, so thank you so much. What message do you have for fans?
Take everything that I've said with a grain of salt today. No. Here's a real message for fans. Passion is great, and it's what drives, the wrestling fandom. But sometimes you gotta lighten up just a little bit.
Yes.
I'm seeing a lot of stuff, that I'm not involved in online and everything going on right now, and sometimes you just gotta lighten up and let people figure this stuff out on their own. And just be entertained. Let them entertain you. Let them do their thing. The stuff that's happening behind the scenes, let them figure it out.